I appreciate it. All right, guys, welcome to Grue, and thank you so much for being a guest and coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, happy to be
Thanks for
here.
having us, man.
Definitely. Uh, I guess the first question I want to start out is for Corey. It's like a two-part question. Like, what inspired you to want to write and make the film, and what did you love about John Hughes?
Oh man, I think that John Hughes. I remember like the first time I saw The Breakfast Club, and I felt like I was watching some kind of indie film. I was like, I'm sure I was like homesick with chicken pox or some shit, and I was rocked that this guy could tap into everything I was feeling, and everything that seemed to be going on at school and all the archetypes that were there. I also grew up in, the Chicago North Burbs where he shot all his movies.
Oh,
So I
okay.
felt like this ownership, like literally his high school was where I went to high school, not, that he shot. And everything felt familiar to me. And though he, kind of touched on gay characters in some of his films,
Mhm.
he never released like a gay movie per se. It was,
Exactly.
for obvious reasons, right? It was the 80s.
Yeah.
And so this like kernel of an idea, based very painfully autobiographically on my own life and my best friend, just felt like something that needed to get made that wasn't out there. And I mean, my God, if you can find anything that feels even slightly original, you have to own it. So I tried to.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, everything is copied now, sort of. So like having an original idea is great.
Yeah.
No, I
if you can
totally
if you can
agree.
muster it, yeah.
Yeah, just to butt in, the first thing I saw when I first saw the film for the first time, I was like, whoa, I haven't seen anything like this. And I think that's probably the best compliment you can give to the movie.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely, yeah. And Richie, like the next question is actually for you. Like, how did you find out about the film and get cast as one of the two leads?
Right, yeah. I mean, I just went about auditioning for it. It's funny, the audition definitely stuck out to me more so than most of my other ones, just because the character himself, I had so many questions. I mean, my audition
Mm.
scene was actually that very first clip, even before you see our faces, it's us getting ready. It's the very
Yeah,
first
yeah,
thing you see in the
exactly.
whole film. And the character had so many just kind of like bold, creative endeavors, and he's in a wig and he's singing Whitney Houston, and
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, what is this person? And I had a lot of questions, and I think that's kind of where the intrigue started. And I was like, wow, this guy is so fascinating because there's obviously places that I can grab hold on, but obviously he's
Mhm.
so different from anybody I've ever met in so many ways. And I think that's really where my interest started because there's the most room to kind of explore and play and kind of find out who this character really is. Um, so yeah, my first, I just auditioned, like everybody else, went through a couple rounds. My final audition, I was reading with David Bloom, who plays
Yes.
Cary in the film. And I think right away, one thing that stuck out about our auditions was we were just improving out the wazoo. And I
Oh
think
my
at
God.
one point we were like 5 minutes into a tangent improv that had nothing to do with anything. And I was really trying to go with the flow, but at that point, I genuinely forgot where we were in the scene. And so I knew since it was the final callback that like I was like, all right, we should probably get back to doing the scene. And I
Yeah,
had no
right.
idea where we were, and we just kept going. And so I was just like, so anyway, and then we just jump back into the script, which I think we all do in our regular lives too, is like we
Oh
kind of
yeah.
get carried away. We're like, wait a minute, back to the point. So we were just since the very beginning, we were just messing around and having fun and just playing. I think that very much translated to our relationship on screen as well.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. That is so funny.
Yeah.
And the next question is for you both. Like, I love how the film is like definitely a old school vibe to the film for that era. And I grew up in that era, and like the start of the film, like you see the guys getting ready to start their day, and I love Julian's Madonna shirt too. I was a huge fan of her growing up. And how did it feel to be back in that era, like through the film?
Well, I mean, I think for me, I mean, I've always really loved music. I love like musical icons too, and like the fashion statements that go along with it, and the messages and everything. And it was crazy because there was definitely a couple musical artists that, like me personally, Richie, I'm not. I mean, obviously I'm a fan, but I'm not like the biggest fan ever. I can't name every song. But then there were also artists that Julian loved that like I absolutely adore that were definitely like key points to getting into the character. And I think honestly, just like again, he's just such a creative explosion of a guy, and he just loves all of these places that he can draw inspiration for because they're his voice during this time. He can kind of be like, look, I'm not like the average Joe. I'm like Whitney Houston, damn it.
Yes, yes.
You know what I mean? And I think I think for me it was just so fun to kind of, I love making playlists for my characters. It's definitely
Hmm.
a way that I tap in as an actor. Before I start every scene, I have a playlist for a character and I find a
Nice.
song very much that kind of like correlates to what's going on in the scene or kind of the emotion, the impetus. So that way, before we start shooting, I can kind of just have this vibe going through my body. You know what I mean? That only music can do. So I think it was awesome to find these musical artists to latch onto for this.
Oh my God, yeah, definitely.
I
And
think one
what
of the
about you,
coolest thing
Tori?
was watching. I think the coolest thing, for me was watching, these like millennials try to tackle the technology of my youth. I mean, trying to explain to Richie how to open a cassette tape was like one of the most bizarre, wonderful days of my life. It was like, okay, you open the cassette tape and then you put it in upside down and then you press play and record at the
Yes,
same time. And they're looking at
yeah,
me like, what, why? So we're like, action. And Richie tries to open this cassette tape. And it was like, trying to break open a safe. I mean, I was like, all right, cut. Jesus, man. And he was like, well, why is
No,
it designed like this? And I was like, I don't know. We don't know why it was like this. Why is an 8 track an 8 track? We don't know. But
I know,
like
I know.
the joy of watching, the younger generation deal with all our, antiquated shit was just a miracle. It was awesome.
hey, call me out, why don't you? I totally
Yes.
forgot about that day, and Corey's so right. I botched so many takes because I just forgot how to work a cassette player. Hey, granted, I had a cassette player in my car, but it was a
Oh,
lot.
you did?
I did see because I'm right on the border of the millennial Gen Z, so
Oh, okay,
I feel
okay.
stuck in this middle ground of like I grew up one way, but then very quickly, it transitioned to something else.
Yeah.
But I totally forgot that I had botched a good amount of takes because I did not know how to work the cassette player.
I mean, the one thing I hated about cassette tapes is if you listen to the tape a lot, that little tape would start coming out and then ruin the radio that you have the cassette tape in. I hated that.
Yeah, everything back then you had to physically dig in to fix with your fingers, and now you
Yes,
don't know how to fix it.
yes.
You can't even open your damn your phone. What you can't even open it. And like I remember me and my best friend who Richie's character is based on. If our camcorder wasn't working, you just punch it, and
Yes,
boom, it's working
yes.
again. And if you smack your iPhone hard enough, that's $1,000. Like. So, yeah, the good old days.
Exactly, exactly. And Richie, I actually got like another question for you. Like, how when you're playing Julian, like, how do you get into like his like mind frame to play like all the stuff that he tackles from being a radio host to, then he's questioning the way he feels about guys, and like that's something a lot of people go through when they're teenagers. Like they're trying to figure out, like, if they like women, if they like guys, and like how do you get into like that mind frame to play him?
That it was honestly, I think what was so nice about all of Screams was it was such a collaborative experience. Our cast and crew was made up of all kinds of walks from top to bottom. So I feel like almost everybody in a way was had some sort of representation on our set. And what's so
Yeah.
nice about our crew, which I mean, we said all the time, it felt like a once in a lifetime crew where everybody's just like genuinely friends and we're hanging out and David and I are throwing parties on everybody's off day on the weekends. What's nice is like you just get so many stories and so many personalities, and I feel like it was just the responsibility of just making sure that like I can do justice to all of these different things that he's dealing with. I think having the plot be more or less sort of simple allows you
Yeah.
for like this deep character exploration. And I think just having fun, and Corey was such a great guiding light with everything that I was doing, and was definitely down for me to bring a lot of stuff to the table, but also he had
Mhm.
just he's such an actor's director, which is so lovely, lovely to work with. It was just an amazing guide for me on this journey and put me in all the right directions so that I could do my job.
That's awesome. That
Yeah.
really is. And Corey, like how did you come up with the score? Like the one thing I love about films is the music in the films. I'm a big horror fan, so in the horror world, like the music, the score is everything. Like how did you come up with the sound you wanted for the film?
Oh man, thank you for like even asking the question. I think our score is astounding, and this our composer, his name is Alex Redfern, and he lives like an hour outside of London, and somehow he managed to weave in the soundtrack that these very weird, unique, boys like have going in their head, which is very informed by like musical theater and like standards and like jazz bands, plus like the sound of like a shitty high school band, and then and then and then magically has to weave in like a sound that felt as emotional as the movie gets. So I essentially made him score almost 2 hours of music, which is cruel and horrible of me considering what we paid him. And the guy is just a straight up genius. And I don't think when people watch the movie, they know that all of that is original music. I think it feels like organic enough where it feels like it's just kind of coming out of the speakers, just kind of diegetically infused. But no, like every note of that is written and tailored to every montage and every emotional moment. And my God, I can't wait to work with the man again. He's just impeccable.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
And I see we're coming up on our time. So the last question I'll ask you is basically where can fans watch the film and follow you both at?
Go, Richie.
Yeah, you can watch the film at least December 8th,
Seventh.
7th. I know things. December 7th. Why do you let me start? We're screening at the Dances with Film Festival at the Regal Union Square at 9 p.m. It's gonna be a lot of fun. A little late night talk back. And at least for me, you can follow me on social media. Pretty straightforward. My handle is at Richie Fusco. Can't mess it up. Corey?
And as far as seeing our movie, it's right now like running the film festival circuit.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment that we find our home on a certain streaming platform I can't name, you can follow us on Instagram at Screams from the Tower, and there you can see a trailer and lots of clips of the movie and our beautiful cast, and get any information that comes out about our movie. And I hope everybody sees it and it becomes a obscene cult classic, and Richie's face is on t-shirts and cereal boxes. Not in like a missing kid way, but like in a, because he's a great actor kind of way.
I'll take it.
You could put it on cassette tapes too. Like you could put it on the cover of cassette tapes.
Yes, yes.
Hey, fair warning though, I might not know how to work them though, so I don't know how well that's.
Oh my God, you guys are funny. Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
thanks, Rocco.
All right, guys, have a good one.
Have a good one.